Good morning, this is Ernest Antolik with Ernest Antolik Consulting, and as you know, I am an educator and a consultant. I am not, absolutely not, treating cancer or any disease that you may have in the human body. I am educating you and allowing you to adapt to the knowledge that you receive. Yes, bring that knowledge in, assimilate it, chew on it, think about it, and make something of it. Yes. What will you make of it? You will make of it material within your body, within your emotional code, if you will. What makes you you, and what makes the level of stress that you can handle a little bit different than another person's level that they can handle. And so you take knowledge in and you understand. That's exactly what God said in the Bible, that we, and in the Scriptures, which there is a difference between Bible and Scripture. Yes, there is. And oh, the wealth of knowledge and riches that we can grab a hold of in that study another time. Right now, God has given us all the opportunity to take knowledge in, a mind to receive information, and it is with that knowledge that you shall thrive in this life experience. And some say, well, it's consciousness that allows you to thrive. Well, being conscious of the knowledge that's given you, the knowledge, being conscious or aware of knowledge, with knowledge, being aware dictates knowledge that you have, dictates that you are aware of what? Of knowledge. Knowledge can be that which I see around me occurring. Knowledge can be that which I understand that I have read that's been put into, right? From the mouth, spoken knowledge, from a concept that's in our brain, knowledge, from a written word, knowledge, and from observation without anything spoken, knowledge. And so these things are what God said, my people perish for a lack of. Without knowledge, you perish, right? Without knowledge of what the healing is for cancer, you perish. Without the knowledge, simple knowledge, you perish. So I'm here as an educator for you, as an intermediate, if you will, between you and God, between God and man. And that is what a prophet is, and a prophet is a teacher, and a prophet professes. And so I will be your professor. Yes, prophet or profess to you to be a teacher and educate you on the philosophies of natural medicine. The philosophies are the way of thinking that brings about the actions for your work. And so I'm just an educator. I do not treat cancer. I give you knowledge today to do something with, to make that available to you for your body, your organ systems, starting with your brain and your spinal cord and the cranial nerves from your brain, distensing, if you will. Distensing? Yes. Leaving the brain and flowing into and out of every organ that they innervate or go into and out of. All right? So we are distending down the spinal cord and down the cranial nerves through our thyroid, our thymus, our buccal glands in our mouth, our smell, our sense of sight and hearing, our heart even, and our bowel is guided by the vagal nerve, cranial nerve number 10, right? And so there's so much to talk about today, and so I desire for you to understand that your knowledge, that your resources are available for you the way God has made you. So first, your first resource is you and the functions that you create, which are, again, elimination, assimilation, reproduction of cells, growth of new tissues, every 5 months a new liver, every 90 days, all new red blood cells. Every 7 years, everything in your body, and many of those things several times in 7 years. 7 years for bone marrow to be restored and reproduced, right? Okay, and grow again. And then you are able to adapt. So eliminate, assimilate, grow, reproduce, and adapt. Now, Outside of that, we know that environment is primary, the primary experience of all life. Now let's look at that knowledge. God put above the earth a canopy that separates the waters from the waters. Now that canopy in Psalm 78 says broke a hole through. That water spout sprung up from the inner earth and broke a hole through that canopy. Would that be called the ozone layer today? Why is it if we have the internet and we have had the Bible and the scriptures for several hundred years, we know that they were disappeared by and taken by an organization of political regime and religion for 500 years and done away with. And then when they came back, there are uses of the name of God, the name of the Most High being called God, G-O-D. And so as we dig into some of these things and see changes that were made, how could it be that in this day that we're so far away from our origins and understanding how this environment works within our body, for our body? Well, I believe it's because of that 500-year taking of all books that gave us knowledge of who we are. The sacred scriptures were written about for who they were written for, the books around that time, and the information that men had to make theses, if you will, and not just theses, but the theories that we have of more of what was occurring around us, that we would have a mind or a philosophy to think on these things and bring about these things. So it was without knowledge that we went for 500 years. As these sacred writings of Galileo even, these sacred writings of men and Galileo's concepts even, being involved with the idea of the earth, what and where and how and why and when and where, what were we? And so these concepts are what I'd like to talk to you about today in our environment. As we know, it's primary to the way that our body assimilates or eliminates or grows new tissues itself and reproduces ourselves. And the way that we can adapt is dependent on the environment. Let's look at it. There are ambient pressure, molecules of oxygen around us right now at 14 psi that are beating against my body. Why? Because of the planetary covering. A veil, if you will, a covering, a canopy over the earth, an ozone layer that hold 14 psi against my head right now. That used to be 45 psi. It's measured at 28 to 32, but from my understanding, 45 psi, super hyperbaric pressure in an hyperbaric tank reproduces the environment and oxygenates all portions of your body, including your bone marrow and your brain tissue. Of which stroke, the German Medical Association and others know that stroke is the way that the body isn't able to, the brain able to receive oxygen because of a lack of blood flow or a bleed. All right. And so in this experience, we have the opportunity to pump oxygen into the body by changing the environmental pressure. Immediately, the brain is getting oxygen, and you will thrive. The German Medical Association has no side effect from stroke. When they're in the tank within the first 48 hours, there's no side effect from stroke. None! Here in America, we do not use that. There are people sitting in that restroom, if you will, sitting in that waiting room without help. Without help. Why? The German Medical Association has no side effect whatsoever from any patient when they're in the tank within 48 hours of that stroke. Do we not have internet today? Do we not have the ability to receive information and make changes? Oh, well, we can't do that because, this and that. And the other thing, maybe it's the pharmaceutical drugs and the hospital care and the aftercare money market that's being profited. So let's look at this in the next 30 seconds to give us something in these 10-minute CyberLink UCAMs that I can set up and learn how to ship out without them being over 10 minutes and they won't ship. So I'm an educator and a consultant. The environment is first. It is your doctor. And the education and understanding of how to use your environment is very, very key. So we look at these things and your body parts in Genesis 1:29 for your resources. We'll get back to more and explain those at length and detail for the Organ Awareness and Recognition program.